Hi, I'm Becky from Scan. I am a special guest host of Beyond the Pixels podcast, and I am, of course, here with HaZ Dulull. Hello.
Hey Becky.
How are you?
Good. It feels weird. Usually I'm the host, but this time you're the host and I'm being interviewed, so
I know.
let's see how this goes.
We're going to start with the basics, I think. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Well, I run a company called Beyond the Pixels, and it's a transmedia company that produces video games, films, and TV shows. It all started off because of my career up here. As you can see here, I've started working in video games. I was just doing basically cinematics as an artist, right? And then I decided to leave the games industry because I was like, who makes movies in video game engines? So I left and I decided to start creating visual effects, and I became a compositor. So basically I would take really cool CGI graphics and live action, put them together, and hopefully no one notices what is CG, what isn't. I learned everything on how to work very fast and how to block stuff out, how to understand about camera lenses, how to receive notes, brutal notes sometimes, but it really was my film school. And then I became a VFX supervisor where I was less on the computer and more on the set, working with really amazing directors and not so good directors as well. You learn from both. And then while I was a VFX supervisor, I decided to make a bunch of short films. One of them called Project Kronos, which went viral, and ended up making my first feature film called The Beyond, which came out in January 2018. And it was number 2 in the iTunes charts, next to Blade Runner 2049 and Wonder Woman.
Whoa.
And then I ended up making another film called Origin Unknown with the lovely Katie Sackhoff, who has been in The Mandalorian. And then Disney ended up calling and said, hey, we saw this thing that you did. We'd love to hire you. And I ended up directing a show called Fast Lane, and I became an exec producer on it. And also did a show called Descendants. So anyone's got little girls would know. Descendants, did that show. And then the pandemic hit. All the live action shows got put on hold. I'm like, oh my God, I still want to make stuff. So I ended up learning Unreal Engine. And through Unreal Engine, I started slowly weaning back into the world of video games. The industry that I slammed the door shut, saying I'm never coming back, end up coming back into it. And that's where I ended up making Dune Awakening. I was a cinematics director on that. Yeah, bro, I worked on that 3.5 years. So I was at Funcom, amazing Norwegian company. And the reason I got that job is because I was posting a lot online. And that's what I tell everyone. Like, no one is going to hire you if you don't put your stuff out. You could be the most amazing storyteller, be the most amazing musician or artist, whatever. But if no one hears or sees your stuff, it's pointless.
Clearly, you're a fan of retro gaming, which I think very nicely brings us on to your new game, Astro Burn. Do you have a trailer for Astro Burn that we can watch?
I do, and I'm going to preface that because when I announced I was making Astro Burn, I had just come off Dune Awakening, which is a big AAA game, right? Everyone assumed I was going to use Unreal Engine, I was going to make this full-on cinematic game. And then I showed them the trailer I'm going to show you now.
Do you think it matters at all where they start? Obviously, you started in film school, and you switched to gaming.
I didn't go to film school.
I
wish I went to film school.
It was. What is it? What advice would you give?
So, as students, you have a lot of access already. You got a ton of kit at the university. When you book it out and make something, book out your mocap studio, rent the cameras and stuff. So I would say to anyone starting out, is just make stuff.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we all have these little devices in our pocket, right? Yeah. And one thing that I haven't mentioned is that on my iPhone, I actually use this really, really cool app.
Yeah,
I had the Black Magic
there you go.
And I can literally treat it like a real camera. I can switch between different frame rates. I can drop LUTs on there. I can record stuff. I can record in RAW if I've got enough space. But there's literally no excuse for not making stuff. You have platforms like YouTube. You have TikTok.
Yeah.
You can make stuff and share it to the world. The more people see your stuff, the more eyeballs on it, the more attention you're going to get at the press.
Yeah.
Amazing.
We were going to open it up to some questions from anyone here, if anyone has got any.
Level 3.
The first adversities I had when I was starting out was I didn't have enough in my portfolio, right? So I wanted to be a film director. Yeah, but you've not made shorts before. So I'll make a bunch of shorts. Yeah, but you haven't made a feature. Okay, but I thought the idea is make a short to make a feature. Yeah, but you still, there's always something, right? And today, it's your metrics. Oh, you want to be a content creator, but you don't have 1 million views. And now I take these adversities, I see them as challenges. For example, animation. I've always loved animated films, right? But I didn't come from animation. I wasn't trained at Pixar or anything like that.
Yeah.
So when Unreal came about, I'm like, screw it, I can make my own animated film. Okay, I can't animate, but guess what I can do? I can buy motion capture libraries really cheap. I can use something called Mixamo and bring that in. And all of a sudden, I've got walk cycles, I've got action cycles. I can learn how to motion mix. I'm not an animator, but I've got movement. So I overcome that. So you just got to keep overcoming it. You're going to get so many no's. Some of the biggest directors still get no all the time. And no doesn't mean you're crap. There's a million reasons why there's no. Oh, that's easy. James Cameron. And Ridley Scott. They were two of my favorite filmmakers. And, I remember watching behind the scenes footage, and then when DVDs came out, I only bought DVDs for one reason, the behind the scenes. That was literally my film school, right? They had to work with limitations as well. They had to work on big, massive 35mm film. Being a filmmaker doesn't mean working on big, massive movies. If you shoot something on your iPhone like a little short film, you're a filmmaker. If you make a commercial, you're a filmmaker. If you make a YouTube content and it's really funny and engaging, you're a filmmaker. I would say to people, stop trying to have that thing in their head oh God, I'm not a filmmaker unless I've won awards and stuff. No, it's crap. Anyone can be a filmmaker today. You just got to tell a good story that you believe in.
Same as the Instagram story after a
Oh
night
my
out.
God,
That's a good film.
Yeah, totally. People I could look up to in terms of doing stuff indie, because I mentioned James Cameron, right? But that's an aspirational role model, right? I love the way he tells stories. But I learned Unreal in 2018. Now it's a bit late in the game considering it's been out for a long time, right? But I would tell everyone, don't be afraid to fail. Back then, if you failed, it's very expensive. Me put my mortgage on the line for a feature film. If I failed, that would have been very awkward. But it didn't, thankfully. But today, with technology being so fast, with the advent of things like AI, right? You could come up whatever idea in your head. And I'm not saying use AI for commercial content, because that's a whole different conversation. The tools are there for you now. Try things out. Nothing is perfect. Don't wait for it to be perfect to put it out, and put your stuff online. Share, share, share. If you're making something, make it for yourself and put it out there. Yes, engage a community. And that's the other thing I always say as well. We're in a world today where audiences have a lot of control on what they want to see. They have a way of shaping your game. You are going to get haters, right? Yeah. But some criticism is good. For example, on the playtest, a lot of people were really saying, "Oh my God, this game's so frustrating. Every time we die, the term respawn. So people would respawn, they'll keep getting hit by the bullets because it's a bullet hell type game. So I'm like, oh my God, people are really hating this because people keep dying. I'm like, okay, well, let me try and make this happen. And how can I fix this? I could give them unlimited life for a few seconds, but how can I make that more interesting? So I end up building, you might notice on the trailer, but there is this blue bubble that appears, and it basically gets really big, and then it slowly shrinks, and anything that hits that blue bubble is invincible. And I did that as like a little shield thing. It became really cool. People go, oh, that's really cool. It's a cool visual effect. I'm like, no, I did that to fix the bug.
Yeah.
So if I didn't take that criticism on board, I would never have those really cool bubbles that appear, and that becomes a trope in the game now.
Exactly.
When you do playtests, people will do feedback about, oh, we don't like the look of this. One thing I did was I was using Unreal Engine to create, this is early in the day of the game, I was using Unreal Engine to create fake sprite graphics, which I thought was a really cool technique. I create a thing in Unreal, I create a shader using blueprints, and it kind of breaks the pixels up to create this pixel effect. I thought that was kind of cool. I put it online, and people go, oh, that's Gen AI. I'm like, it's pretty sure it's not. So I end up showing them making of. I actually did a whole YouTube video showing how I use Unreal to create the shader work. But then you start to realize, well, hang on a sec. If these bunch of people are saying it's generative AI, and I didn't intend to do it that way, maybe I've got to rethink my art style. And then I end up bringing on actual pixel artists that are hired to do it, and you start seeing a difference. So that was one example where the community were like, dude, sort your art out, dude. If you're doing pixel art, do it properly.
I think that's all we've got time for today. So thank you very much. Thanks
you
for having me.
You're great. Oh my God, I might get you to do the rest of the podcast.
I'm
just going to,
You're a much better host than I am. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening.